Thank you so much for joining us. Now, over 1,000 NTI bus company employees have not been paid for 5 months. And Mahikeng, Sawu Ya Bashumi has come out in support of the workers to explain the situation that has led to 5 months of non-payment and what is next then for the workers. Let's have a conversation with Lebusa Mamaregane, who is the Secretary General then of Sawu Ya Bashumi. Lebusa, thank you so much for the time. Appreciate it. Let's get to the situation now. If I understand it correctly, the Provincial Transport Department had approved a budget of 75 million rand in order to pay for some of the salaries. And yet that hasn't happened because the bus company itself is currently under business rescue. Is that the case?
Yeah, look, maybe, Aaron, let's correct it properly. The amount was approved by the provincial legislature of Northwest Government.
Yes.
Now, that money being approved was strictly to pay the salaries of the workers. Now, where we're sitting today, it's that we've realized that indeed workers have not really received their money into their accounts. What is happening now is that Northwest Government gave COSATMA, which is Community Safety and Transport Management, the HOD of transport of COSATMA, which is Dr. Hans Kekana, decided that he is not then going to pay those salaries of the workers, which leaves workers in a very dire situation where workers decided on their own that if we're not going to get this money, we are going directly to the COSATMA offices, which when you go to COSATMA offices, they decided to be very arrogant on us, trying to have some tactics of pushing us away in relation to us addressing the issues of the workers, which is them getting their 75 million. That was approved by the provincial government of Northwest.
Why is COSATMA saying that the workers should not be getting this money? What is their reasoning that they've given to you?
Look, their reason is very shallow to say that they can't give money to the NTI because they probably maybe won the case at the Pretoria High Court for the removal of the BRP, which the BRP then made an appeal to that. And to them is that for the fact that the BRP made an appeal, therefore will help the salaries of the workers and not pay them, which I see that as very naive and heartless, generally operating like a deputy Satan, because these issues affect the workers today. Workers, some of them, their medication are lapsing, almost everything. They are suffering where they are. I don't believe, and I'm still in shock, in fact, today that the gentleman decided to operate in this particular fashion, because this matter affects the workers. They've been pushing the fact that it is the BRP who is at fault here, which is a pure lie. Today, issues like this are exposing that they've got a different agenda that has got nothing to do with these workers who are suffering.
Why is the BRP at fault, supposedly, according to their reasoning and their excuse? So has the question of business rescue, this whole business rescue, is that not reason enough in your point of view? Is that not the key reason for why this money is not being paid?
Look, that is to even think that it is a business rescue that is at fault. It's a pure lie, and we must expose lies any time they try to arrive otherwise, because the business rescue is there to rescue the company. When they are in courts, in fact, the language that they master very well is that this company must be liquidated. The South African Workers Union Ya Bashumi decided to then support the BRP only on the basis that the BRP continues to rescue the company. Because when they rescue the company, we will then, a majority of workers, their employment will still be secured. Because if the company gets liquidated, what will then happen? It means all workers will not even get anything. In fact, probably maybe those who will benefit a little bit will be creditors. So we will make it very clear to the public that they must be aware that that of which they are saying out there is a lie. They are saying that workers have been paid. Currently, yes, the BRP paid the workers the salaries, but the salaries they received 2 weeks, if not 3 weeks ago, it is not the salary of December. It is not the salary of November. It is not the salary of October. So generally, because the company is under distress, and they make it very difficult for the business rescue to operate because of bringing some threats in the depots, which it makes it very difficult for the BRP to operate. Today, that of which they are doing, it's a clear indication that they have other agendas that.
Okay, so 5 months has not been paid ultimately.
Yes.
That's what we're saying.
Yes.
75 million has been approved by the Northwest Provincial Legislature. Yes. It's not being paid out according to the company then because, or according to is it the Provincial Transport Department? Because the company is under business rescue. You believe that to not be the case and that, in fact, COSATMA is holding back on all this funding. How do we resolve this now? Does this mean now that you ultimately have to then go back to court and ensure that this money is actually paid out to your workers? Because one would think that it would definitely still need to be approved by the business rescue process.
Look, the business rescue does not have any problem in relation to workers being paid.
Yeah.
The business rescue, we wrote the letter, Sawu Ya Bashumi, to make it very clear to the BRP, because the BRP made an undertaking, that of which the officials of Northwest requested to say he must make an undertaking that he is indeed going to pay these workers, which that was just a bullying tactics. He made it very clear. He did the undertaking. Sure. After the undertaking, it did not even take the BRP 2 hours to do an undertaking. We went back to the office to say the undertaking is there. We are of the view that Dr. Hans Kekana received that. Out of the blue, they then decided to disappear. When we speak to the spokesperson, he was very arrogant to the workers, in fact. And then we said to him that, but you said he must make an undertaking. Now the undertaking is here, then you disappear. We even further wrote a letter hoping that probably maybe if they don't want to send the money to the NTI, they could still do it the same way they did last year in 2023 when they were paying workers. They paid money directly to a company called Lebusa that deals with their payroll system. After paying directly, all workers received their salaries of 4.5 months. So why is it difficult now that when they are supposed to pay, then they are hiding around the issues of the BRP? 100%. There is nowhere where this matter has to do anything with the BRP. They've got the money. They can use any other payroll system to make sure that those workers got their money. Yeah. By the way, maybe before you go far, the issue of the Treasury made a workers' verification. I've heard on some other radio yesterday that they've not made, the Treasury have not made a verification. They made verification. They came to all the depots. It does not even take more than 2 days. They did that. What they are simply just doing is just trying to make sure that the BRP, by the name of Thomas Summons, should not generally operate fairly so within the company. They make it very difficult, and at the end of the day, when this becomes very difficult for the gentleman to operate, it becomes very also difficult for workers on the ground to get what's due for them, because the company doesn't make enough money now. When workers stop in the company, Gauteng department will not give them a subsidy. So
where to now? What is Sawu Ya Bashumi is going to be able to do at this stage in order to fight for the rights of these workers in order for them to get these salaries?
Look, the chairperson, Freddie Sonakile, of the Committee of Community Safety and Transport Management, made it very clear that there's no any excuse that this worker should not be paid, irregardless of the court processes and all that. Workers should be paid. They must not bring the vulnerable workers who are suffering at this stage and put them in this situation, because majority of them, you can't believe yesterday, majority of them, when their medications and all that lapsed, they had to go to the hospital when they are sleeping under the buses.
But what are you going to do now? What can you guys do then as the union from here in order to ensure that they get paid?
Look, we'll intervene with our legal team if that's the case. If it happens that workers they spend the next 3, 4, 5 days without that, we'll make sure that this money should be paid to the workers. And there's no way that we'll fail into that, because provincial government has approved. Also, the chairperson, we are happy because the chairperson of Community Safety and Transport Management is very clear to say this money should be paid. So we will simply make sure that they need to facilitate and make sure that they pay that money to the workers. There are heartless tendencies that are taking place there in failing to pay these workers. In fact, it is a hard pill to swallow for the workers who are sitting at home today without their salaries. Because
I only have time for one more question, and I have less than 30 seconds actually to get another response on it. Has the role just in general, of unions changed in South Africa? And I don't mean that in any nefarious way. Just in general, do you feel that the workers' needs have continued to come first, or are there other forces at play? And I ask that because we've seen how workers continue to still struggle. Or is this just a case of employees or employers not wanting to fulfill the needs that they've actually put forward contractually in some of the obligations to staff?
Look, a majority of these trade union leaders, in fact, they are not doing the good work of a trade union. The culture of trade unionism, my brother, is to make sure that you represent the workers.
Yes.
The most vulnerable workers should, by all means necessary, be represented. There was a trade union there, by the way, which we're not going to mention it by name because I don't think it's very important to us. The union that was existing there, there's never done anything to workers. In fact, for a mere fact that workers are now in Mahikeng, they are speaking with management that those workers must be charged. That is exact, and that is the union that has been with them. Workers have rejected this union. Workers must make it their business to make sure that if unions are not doing the great work of their best interest, they must reject them.